everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Beauty Pop Podcast. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Jen.
And we've got lots of fun stuff to talk about this week. We are calling this Gym, Tan, and Talk a Lot of Shit. I don't know if that'll be the final working title. That's our working title right now. I don't know if we'll actually make it to that. But we've got all kinds of bronzers that we're going to talk about. Jen and I are beauty junkies, and we're pale-skinned Irish gals.
And I was going to say white beauty junkies.
Yes. So we like to
we need sun.
We like to give a little extra glow to our pale Irish skin. And then we've got some interesting pop culture news. Crazy story about Miranda Lambert that I've been seeing on Us Weekly and Page Six and all the gossip rags. Not a good story. So we'll get into that. I know you are our resident country music fan, and so an expert.
I love Miranda Lambert.
And you love your girl Miranda, so that'll be interesting to talk about. And then you and I are huge Jersey Shore fans. The show. I live at the Jersey Shore.
Now?
I know we're allowed to admit it now, right? I live at the Jersey Shore, and we're both Jersey Shore fans. So lots of stuff going on with this current season, and we're going to get into that a little bit later on as well. So this was your idea to talk about bronzers, and I'm so happy that you came up with that because it's not something I've ever actually thought about, or like it's, and we've talk a lot about makeup products and things like that, and I always overlook the bronzer because I think I'm really bad at using it, so I'm going to get a tutorial from you today on how you use it.
I'm in.
So start us off with, what products do you like, because you are the makeup queen and I don't wear makeup unless I really have to, and you wear makeup every day because you're doing all kinds of jobs and you're on camera and stuff, so you've got your whole routine down.
Well, and I used to never wear bronzer. I was with you. The only thing that I knew about bronzer, and maybe you'll remember this, when I would play with my mom's makeup and like the CoverGirl blush used to have like a square of color for your cheeks, and then it would have like a dark brown for contour. And I never even knew what that dark brown was for. I thought certainly that's not for me because it wouldn't match my skin tone. And I really think that actually bronzer is now like it's back again because of the Kim Kardashians of the world. I don't think a lot of people use bronzer, highlighting, or contour until that certain aesthetic became really popular that was brought on by faces like the Kardashians, right?
Absolutely.
And so I started playing around with it. I started thinking, maybe I think I got sucked in probably with a YouTube video or some tutorial on Instagram from a makeup girl about contouring your face. And so when I first jumped in, I started using a creamy bronzer stick. And the way that I would do it is I would put on my foundation, and then I would stick the creamy bronzer stick kind of in the corners, if you can call them corners, of your forehead. And then you make a stripe underneath your cheekbone, and then you would go down your nose with that bronzer stick. And I would kind of go with that and then blend with the beauty blender or with your fingers. And that looks really nice if you have a lot of time.
Right. I was going to say, it's advanced.
I still do.
I feel like it's advanced.
That's advanced. And the sticks work really well. And it's probably what most of the celebrities use to get that really, like those cut lines when you're putting on your bronzer. But who has the time for all of that? So then I liked the way that looked, but I didn't have the time to invest because I do my makeup every single day and I have to be out of the house very early for a morning radio show. And so I started experimenting. And if you're going to do anything with bronzer, you're always going to find that Benefit is the brand that is kind of the go-to, I think, for bronzers. Hoola is iconic. It is my favorite. It is the one that I would recommend if you are just starting out. It's a great shade, and I think it's a great shade for multiple skin tones, especially if you're in the lighter to fair to medium register. And it's super easy to use. It's very blendable. It has a little bit of iridescence, but it doesn't have, it's not matte and chalky is
right,
kind of what
important.
I'm getting at.
Yes.
And I just throw that on with my blush brush in those same points on my face that I mentioned with the stick. And then with a big fluffy powder brush, I just really quickly buff it in before I finish my makeup. Is it a powder
or is it like a stick?
It's a powder.
Oh, it's a powder. Okay.
Yep. So I just use my blush brush to do that, and then I'll put the color on my cheekbones and then just give my face a once over with a big fluffy powder brush. It's quick, it's easy, you really can't make a mistake. And that's the one I recommend for people who are just starting out. And the great thing about Benefit is certain times of year, you don't have to just buy the singular Hoola. A lot of times they'll put them in palettes so that you can also get a blush and a highlighter along with it. And it's a great value. It's $32 usually for the Hoola just by itself.
That's very reasonable.
But the palette that I have, I think was about the same price. And the one I'm using right now is called Foroscope from Benefit. And it's got the Hoola bronzer, another lighter bronzer, a highlighter, and a blush as part of it. And it is such a convenient way to have everything kind of come with you. And I think it is probably the easiest blending bronzer and the best looking bronzer that I've used that you can put on quickly, still get the results you want, but not have to sit there blending in a creamy bronzer stick.
I love that. I might buy that.
It's pretty good.
I'm gonna start buying all of your picks. Well, the creamy stick thing, right? That when I will never forget the first time, and I will give. I know it's easy to hate on the Kar-Jenners, but I will give Kim some credit because she went full on like a YouTube tutorial with her makeup artist and showing exactly where her makeup artist drew all those lines, and you saw how much makeup was on her face before they even blended it. And then the end result is like movie magic, you know.
It's gorgeous.
It's incredible. And she has like 3 different shades where, like you were saying, like the upper sort of temples, you know, like it's darker there, around your hairline is darker. Then she had different lines drawn in the middle of her forehead. She had a lighter one down like the front of her nose and then darker on the sides because she doesn't like her nose. And she's been open about that too, like having it, you know, sort of wanting it to look slimmer or whatever. But when you really look at, and then I think recently there was one of the, Dorinda Medley, who's one of the housewives from New York, or was, she just did the same thing. And she did like a Reels or a Boomerang or something where, or maybe she's on TikTok now, but it was the same thing. And she had, I mean, it looked like when you look at an old cowboy and Indian movie, like it looked like war paint, right?
Exactly.
Like I know that's totally not PC to say, but like that's what it looked like.
Yeah,
you know,
it's striped on.
Yeah, and it's wild. And then when it's all blended, I mean, the end result is incredible. But like as a person, like at home, I can't do that. I'm going to look like a freak show.
You could, because it's all about the blending. And, you know, I've played with it and I've tried it. And when I'm going out, sometimes I'll do, you know, I'll go through the steps of using that. But for everyday stuff,
I like the powder
and for real
idea better.
People,
yeah.
The powder is really great. And just thinking about where the sun hits you. So just think naturally if you walk out, because all of our faces are a little different. But the idea behind bronzer is that we want to look like we're not dead, right? That we have a little bit of color. And also we want it to look like, to slim our face a bit. So when you walk outside, think about where the sun naturally hits your face. And for me, it's always kind of the sides of my forehead, down my nose, and on my cheek areas, where that's where you carve out to kind of get a little more bang out of your cheekbones. And just think about where the sun hits and put the bronzer there. And I guarantee you will not be disappointed. And it's a lot easier than really recreating and painting this, you know, idyllic face that a lot of these makeup artists have time to do on their clients.
I mean, after, I forget when it was, probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I bought my first face bronzer, which, you know, scared me to death, but it seemed like it'd be really easy. So this is Charlotte Tilbury. Like, this is the first thing I bought. I still have it because I hate it, but I can't throw it out because it was expensive. It's the Hollywood Contour Wand, and it actually says right on the package, Easy Contour. So what
I've seen that one. That's got the little puffy thing at the end, right?
Yes, you could do this because you are very talented. So you have to shake it up, and it has a little, like you said, the little sponge thing, right?
Yep.
And so I'll just do it here because I don't have any makeup on. But you're supposed to sort of like on your cheek, you know, draw a line. And then like down the sides of your nose or whatever. And then I guess you just sort of blend it in. Except like as I'm doing this now, it doesn't blend well. And I just was, and it always just looked really bad. And it just looked like I had kind of like a streak of shoe polish on my face.
Yeah, you don't want stripes.
No.
Right.
And it never really blended well, and I just was not happy with it. But I still have it.
That's all in the formulation, I think. I think
and it also depends on how it works with your foundation. Because I was joking that, like, you know, if I was like a 1950s housewife and like the Tupperware salesperson would show up at the door, I would just buy the whole line, like make it easy for me. Like, I'm not an adventurer, you know, like I want convenience. I'll buy everything. So I literally bought like everything that Charlotte Tilbury has ever made. And some of them are just a total miss. This one was a total miss for me. I just don't know, because I also wear her foundation, which is super, super lightweight, and it's a liquid that and I've had this happen to me where, like, you know, if you wear sunglasses and then you kind of sweat a little bit, and then when you take your sunglasses off, all your makeup comes off with it.
Absolutely. Happens to me all the time.
Stuck,
and you get that pretty little line underneath your eyeballs,
and then,
so
like,
it looks like you've been in the suntan room.
Right. And then, like, the bridge of your nose has no makeup left on it. Like, and I have a lot of hyperpigmentation. So if I don't cover up the red, like, it looks like there's like a red streak like underneath my skin. So when you add on another liquid on top of a liquid, you're just going to wipe everything away. It was a disaster. So this was not a good product for me at all. And we're also going to post on our Instagram at Beauty Pop Pod the good stuff and the bad stuff. So, because I also like to help people avoid, you know, what they don't need and what I think is just a waste. Now, the one thing that is a saving grace from Charlotte Tilbury, which I'm wondering, is it sort of similar like to the powder that you have from Benefit?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Except mine, it comes in a palette, but yeah, it's got 4 different colors, but that's about the right color. Yep.
So this one is actually very easy. This one I have come to love. This is called Film Star Bronze and Glow. It's a face sculpt and highlight. It's in the fair/medium. So I think there are 3 different sets. So I have the fair/medium. Now this one is a powder, and I bought the specific little brush. I got a tutorial from the girl at Charlotte Tilbury, and this one is very manageable, and you can build on it if you want to do like more contouring.
Exactly.
Or you can make it, you know, just like a little bit of a glow. You know, going out to dinner, I don't need to look like I'm fully sculpted.
Right.
The one thing about it that I will say is, and the makeup artist gave me this warning, and at the time because I'm not that well versed with doing my own makeup. So at the time I was like, oh, okay. But now I see what she meant. If you use too much of it, it tends to kind of give you some texture on your skin, which you don't want. Now, so that's why I would say you don't want that.
That looks like dirt. It looks like you were out in the sandbox. You don't want that.
It is not a good look. I overdid it once, and my mom thought my face was dirty. So you want to make sure that you just do a little bit, but you do all the places like you were saying, you know, like your hairline, like along, you know, right above like the tail of your brow. She had done the streaks down the nose and then the tip of your nose also, because it helps make your nose look a little shorter, which my nose I don't love. So like I kind of always want to make it look a little shorter. And then the glow part, she did like under like the brow bone, a little bit on the forehead. But again, if you have oily skin, don't do that one, because then you're going to have like a shiny forehead. It's not going to be a good look. But the one thing that is interesting with this is that just a little bit down the nose makes a big difference. That little pop of shimmer, right? And who knew?
I'm hooked on that. And it
makes a big difference.
I'm glad you brought it up, because the thing that I think you have to do when you do bronzer is you have to do a little bit of highlighting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you want to bring the dark with the shadow with the bronzer, and then you need the highlight to lift up. And you want to lift up the bridge of your nose, you want to lift up your cheekbones, and maybe even like the Cupid's bow right above your lip. Just a little bit of that. So I'm going to tell you about this product that I'm absolutely 1,000% obsessed with, and I found it by mistake. And it is called Glow Milk, and it's by the Beauty Crop. And you know I'm a FabFitFun box getter, right?
I used to do the Allure Beauty box. It was so overwhelming, though. It was like so much stuff. I had to stop.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot.
But it's fun because most of it you get to customize, but every once in a while they throw something in. And so I get this little tiny package. It's real cute. It's like cute packaging. It's gold and white, and it looks like a milk carton. And I thought, what is this? And I open it up, and inside it looks like a little dropper, and it's got this beautiful glowy like gold inside of it. This stuff is a game changer. Now, I have dry skin. I'm not sure how it would work on oily skin, but I think it's worth a try. It's made with coconut oil. It's in a dropper bottle, and it's Glow Milk Illuminating Milk for face and body. I've not used it on my body. Sure, it's gorgeous, but I have used it on my face. I absolutely love it, and I'm obsessed with this. I was just in Mexico, And truly, you could put a little bit of this on your face with just a little like foundation or BB cream, and you look like you are glowing.
Oh, wow.
And so it's got a little bronzy to it, but it's also got the highlighter. And I use this in conjunction when I'm doing my makeup in the morning with my bronzer. And I put just a little bit on my hand. I take from the dropper, I put it on the back of my hand, and just with my fingertips, I take it and I dot a little bit down my nose, a little bit on my cheekbones under each eye, and then a little bit above my Cupid's bow.
Which is that
Blend it in,
little
just tap it in.
spot right under your nose above your lip, in case people
You
don't
are
know the name.
lit from within. And in Mexico, when I didn't have any other makeup or I wasn't doing my eyeshadow, I just tapped a little bit from kind of the center of my eye up to my brow bone. It really is truly beautiful. It's probably one of my favorite products right now, and I totally found it by mistake, and now I've repurchased it.
And this goes on,
I think, 4 times.
Like, is this kind of like one of your final steps?
It's actually the final. It's the final step for me before I'm done with my makeup. Yep.
So do you? Well, this is the glow part. So you would still use your contour, right? You would still use some of the darker contours, but then instead of using the bronzing powder, or the highlighter powder, which is in like My Little Duo, so you use these drops then instead of. It sounds incredible.
Absolutely. It lifts up your makeup. And like I said, if you're just doing a minimal day, like I was at the beach, but I still wanted to have a little bit of coverage because I always am self-conscious. Everybody says, oh, you have beautiful skin, but I'm always self-conscious because I am an Irish girl and I've got a lot of rosy to my cheeks.
too.
And so I always like to use like a BB cream at least for the sunscreen coverage, but also just to kind of even out my skin tone.
Yeah.
And so instead of doing the full 9 yards and the powder and all the heaviness that you don't want on your face when you're at the beach, I took a little of those glow drops, and there's enough bronzing to it to give you a little color to your cheeks, up the bridge of your nose, a little bit on your on the brow bone, and it was like good to go. It looked like I was wearing perfect makeup for being outdoors.
I love
It's an
that.
all around great product. It's absolutely one of my faves.
Do you find that, and it's funny because I am one of those people who have seen your skin in person and have also made the comment like, you've got the best skin of any human I've ever seen.
That's so sweet.
The only time I get compliments on my skin is when it's, buried under foundation. And then people go, oh, but you have good skin too. I think they mean the texture. I don't have a lot of like uneven texture or anything. I have a good texture to my skin, but I've got a lot of hyperpigmentation and capillaries.
They don't see it.
Yeah, well, you don't.
It's the same thing with me. Like I think because I don't break out a lot, so
I never do.
Because I do have dry skin.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of breakouts.
Yeah, I think I get like maybe one little tiny pimple a year. But do you ever feel like one of the biggest there are huge problems in the world. I'm not trying to equate this as like, this is
these
my
are
personal...
definitely first world issues.
Yes, these are first world problems. Okay, I want to definitely say that. But every time I look at like a Hailey Bieber, who I think is the cutest thing, or who else? Like also like a Nina Dobrev, like a lot of the Shay Mitchell, like so many of the actresses that I follow on Instagram when they do skincare stuff or whatever. They literally can do probably just moisturize and then a few of those little glow drops that you were just talking about, and they're out the door. It is
not me.
I could never, even with the help of a million dermatologists and a million laser treatments, I will never be able to be that girl who can just roll out of the house with, a lip balm and some glow drops. Like, and it does like in the world of social media and influencers and stuff, like it does kind of make me feel like kind of shitty about myself sometimes.
I know. I feel bad too. I know exactly what you're talking about. You see someone who's like put on like one little bit of skin serum and they're like perfectly ready to go out. And I'm like, how did you do that?
It's never going to be me. Anyway, I digress.
It's not real.
So now,
my third
what's your
product
next
I'm going to
product?
tell you about. Yeah, this is the final product that I also just ran into. And I brought this one up because I think it would be excellent if you have, it works really well for fair skin, but I think if you have medium to darker skin or olive skin, this stuff is going to be awesome. And it's a line I had never heard of. This was one of those things that just happened on me. I bought something from Ulta. There was like a free gift with purchase.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
Ulta's good about that. I think Ulta's better about that now than Sephora. Sephora used to be good with samples, and now Ulta is the only place I get samples.
And this was like a real size product. They just sent me a free gift. And it was from a brand called Juvia's Place. Have you heard about it?
No.
It's an all-inclusive line, and it was set up by a woman who could never find makeup for her skin. She's dark skin tone. She could never find makeup. So she came up with this line, but it's from the very fairest to the very darkest skin. And the first thing I looked at is I was like, ooh, I'm a shimmer girl. So this was a bronzer with shine and a loose powder, which I had never tried loose bronzing powder.
That sounds like that could be dangerous.
It
right?
could be dangerous, but I'm telling you how I'm going to use it, or how I did use it, and how I loved it. I took it to Mexico as well. And the product that I'm talking about specifically is the Royalty 2 by Juvia. The brand is Juvia's Place. Really cute packaging, kind of like a hot pinky coral lid and gold trim on the container. It's really
pink and
cute.
gold, you were sold.
Absolutely. I was already biased by the packaging. But what was really cool about it is when I put it on, I went, wow, this would be beautiful on someone whose skin you could really see it on. And so if you have a darker, even a medium to dark or olive skin tone, this is going to be absolutely gorgeous on you. The way that I use it is not necessarily as a bronzer, but I used the peach blush from that Benefit Foroscope palette I told you about. Mm-hmm. They have a peach blush in there. I put that on, and then I put the bronzing shimmer dust over it. It's gorgeous. And I think it would only get more gorgeous the darker you are. And I don't know, 2 thumbs up. I love the formulation.
Wow.
It goes on easily. It's really, really pretty. And also you can use it, on your chest area if you want to do a little highlighting down there.
Absolutely.
You can use a bigger brush and define your cleavage area.
Yeah, and even if you just put some like on your collarbone,
Collarbone
like that
would be beautiful.
always,
Yep.
yeah, that always, depending on what you're wearing, like that always makes everything pop too. That's really nice. Wow, that sounds great. Now, I know you mentioned one of the products you said is also for body, right?
Yeah, the Glow Milk. You can use it on your face or your body.
So that's the kind of thing like maybe down the shins, right? Or like if you want your legs
to put
to
it
kind
on
of
your
pop.
arms down absolutely on your, it would be beautiful. It's just a small little bottle, so I like to save it for my
Sure,
face. But
yeah.
I haven't even checked the website. They may sell bigger bottles so that you can go to town, because
the
it
body
can
part.
totally work for that as well.
So
Yep.
there's one last product that I have that I actually love, and this is, again, Charlotte Tilbury, who has made a lot of money off of me. This is called Supermodel Body. This is it's called the Slimmer Shimmer. I don't know. The slimmer part, like whatever. But the cool thing is it has a little, it's like a spray, like one of those little whippets. I don't know, whatever's in the whipped cream, like a little whippet. And so, but the nice thing about it, it's a roller. So it's like,
Oh, that's cool.
So, and what you do is you can highlight your, you can do the collarbone. You can go right down your arms. You can go right down the middle of your legs, or your, if you're showing, like if you're wearing something short, you want to have some, not on your knees, obviously, because then that defeats the purpose and makes your legs look worse. But like, just right down the shin, right down the, the center of your thigh, and it dries, and it doesn't, it dries quickly, and it doesn't transfer onto your clothing. And I've used this as a wedding guest. I've worn lots of different dresses and used this, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on it. And it's really a fantastic product. So that's one that I would highly recommend.
I'll have to check that out
from Charlotte Tilbury. Yeah, and
I
the
love
fact
her
that
products.
I do too. I'm a big fan of hers. Some of the stuff I think is either a little too advanced, unless you're like an influencer. And like where you sit and you do makeup tutorials all day long, and then, it's kind of like Pat McGrath. I love Pat McGrath stuff.
Right.
Some of her palettes I get intimidated by, because they just look like there's too much going on. But, I mean, Pat McGrath has been one of the most, I used to see her when I covered Fashion Week in New York. I would see her doing all the models backstage. I mean, she's just a magician.
She's incredible.
She's unbelievable. And Charlotte Tilbury, same thing. I have not seen her at New York Fashion Week, but I know she, kind of came up through the ranks doing all of London Fashion Week and Paris. And so her products really are developed from her experiences backstage at runway shows. So some of it is a little advanced, but like then she came up with some great products like the Supermodel Body. This is a no-brainer. You cannot mess this up. This is a really, really good one. But yeah, so we'll post all of that on Instagram at BeautyPopPod. So we have some other stuff to chat about. There is a lot.
Yeah, we have to do the gym and the talk shit, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, I know, right? We did I know the gym. Yeah, the gym is, it's the summer.
Miranda.
Who cares? Yeah, so, okay, so the Miranda, okay, so let's do Miranda really quick. Miranda Lambert, you are a big fan of hers.
Yes.
I know a few of her songs. I don't tend to listen to country music, but I certainly know who she is. She's probably the biggest deal.
Absolutely. She's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest name in country music for women.
And so she kind of made a lot of like mainstream headlines. She and Blake Shelton had, I don't know if it was an ugly divorce. I don't think it was really as far as Hollywood divorces go, but it was a big story that everyone thought they were kind of like the, the first lady.
Who was
and
cheating? They were trying to figure out, was it Blake cheating on her or her cheating on Blake or them cheating on each other?
Right. And they were like kind of like country music's like first couple, right? Like they were a big deal. So then they got divorced, and then he started dating Gwen, from now his wife, Gwen Stefani, and Miranda landed this hot cop from New York who was
on the street. She just met him on the street.
He was working security at the Today Show.
Yeah.
And I think one of her girlfriends saw him first or something, and she got her hooks in him, and now they're married, and he's super cute.
And they seem happy.
They seem happy, which brings me to this horrible story that's now making the rounds, where Miranda Lambert is now being body shamed for gaining weight. And I read this and I'm like, is this still happening in 2022? We're still talking about this? Like, and it was all men who were making the comments. Mostly men. I mean, some women are bitchy, but like this was mostly men making these comments. It's like, really, guys?
I think fat shaming is the only accepted form of discrimination anymore. I think it's still okay to do that to people. And it's too bad, because I think for a lot of people, you're just making it worse. I mean, Miranda Lambert's not stupid. She probably knows she's gained some weight, and having people go on social media to tell her she needs to go to the gym, she probably already knows that,
Well, and it's not even just go to the gym. I mean, what really, I don't like when people, especially men, and you go and you look at like their Instagram page, you're like, who do you think you are? You are no
and they're
George
always
Clooney,
winners, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm like, really? I don't know. Okay, you are not in any position to be commenting. And so, but the thing that really always bugs me is you don't know ever what is going on with someone behind closed doors. What if she's doing IVF right now and wants to be private?
And that's a real possibility. It's the first thing that jumped. I mean, first of all, Miranda Lambert has never had like the perfect size 2 body. She's always been, and very proudly, by the way, embracing the fact that she has a real woman's body.
Absolutely.
And so she
did lose a lot of weight though, right? At one point.
She did. And
she may have been on the divorce diet, right? I mean, that happens.
Yeah. She went up, she went down. And by the way, multiple times. She's always kind of yo-yoing back and forth. And some days she looks a little bigger and some days she looks a little smaller, but she's always kind of embraced that. She's always said, I am who I am. I don't dress up. I mean, I've seen her in concert many times. She's very cute with her sparkles and all of that, but she's got a look. She has a brand, and it's the jean shorts and the plaid shirts and the cute things that are not necessarily the Carrie Underwood sparkly costumes or the Reba McEntire type of clothes. She's always been very unapologetically herself, which I think a lot of people appreciated. And it's very
relatable.
It's very much in line with her songwriting. Her songwriting also isn't your typical country song. She does a lot of different things, some fun, some rocky, some folky. So she's like that with her songwriting too. And so I think to have her kind of going up and down and knowing that she's been in this marriage, we don't know. It was the first thing I thought of, gosh, maybe she's doing IVF. I know that they were on an Airstream vacation together this summer, maybe touring around the country in a motorhome. Maybe she gained a few because she was out having fun with her husband. It's really no one else's business. But yet these faceless trolls online think that it's up to them to say awful things, including maybe Blake got eaten in their marriage or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. Some of the horrible things they said about her. And she's not much different looking than most women out there walking around on the street.
No, not at all. It's just, it's remember back in like the early aughts when everyone was trying to like fat shame Jessica Simpson?
Yes.
Who I've met and interviewed. You've probably met her in person too. She is a tiny person. She had big boobs.
Tinier by the day,
but she's
too,
a tiny person. Like she's maybe 5'2". Like she's
all because she was wearing those high-waisted jeans.
Yes,
remember
with
it
the
was
double
that
belt.
Very famous picture.
Now the only person who really should have gotten shit for that was the stylist, because that
it was a terrible
stylist
outfit.
should have been fired. That would have made Kendall Jenner look fat. I mean, that was a horrible outfit. You don't mix high waist and big boobs. You and I both are big boob girls. We don't do that.
Totally know
You
it.
don't do that.
Nope.
But the Miranda thing is really, really annoying. Because, like I said, my first thought was, okay, well, I don't know how old Miranda is. Is she like late 30s?
She's 34, 35, I think. 35.
Okay. So, yeah.
Maybe a little older now. I don't know. She's not 40 yet, for sure.
I have a lot of girlfriends in their early 30s who needed several rounds of IVF. This is not like an old lady thing. This is now just like the norm. And so what if she is doing that and she wants to keep that private? And still do her craft and entertain, and people seem to love her live in concert. I see constantly comments of like how great she is live. And it kind of reminds me of Kourtney Kardashian with Travis Barker. She's been very public that she's been going through IVF and she would like to have a baby with Travis.
She's been getting it too for gaining weight, and she's going through IVF.
And the thing that's really sad is that the new Kardashian show on Hulu, which I highly recommend, it's actually really, really good. From the beginning of that, she's like, I'm just going to tell everyone now that I'm doing IVF because I'm going to gain weight from it, because that's what happens. It's hormones that make your body gain weight. And she said, I'm just going to tell everyone now, don't come at me later on and tell me that I look fat, because here's the reason why. And that's really sad that a woman in the spotlight has to even preface to doing a new show with, hey, look, you're going to see me gain weight, but this is why. Yep. And that's so personal. Like, and honestly, like, I was kind of annoyed.
And men don't get the same thing. No. I think that's what's worse is that
Blake has gained weight since he married Gwen.
Absolutely. And we're talking about Stranger Things. David Harbour, before he went on his Russia super diet, was an average looking dad bod guy. He had, but no one gave him a lot of crap for his weight. I mean, he's a star of a TV show. It's the same thing with age with women. It's much easier for people to cast judgment on women for their age, for their looks, for their body type.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, I think you have to realize it's part of public life. If you go down this road, it sucks that it's sad. But, in every interview almost that I've seen with Miranda Lambert, she's like, you know what? I am who I am, and I'm not going to care about it. I hope she really means that. I hope so she is solid enough, because it does, it gets to the best of us. It's rough.
Absolutely. So I really, I hate that, that those stories even become headlines.
Yeah, but they do.
But they do. And I think that's, and I saw the picture in question.
Yeah.
And which was kind of funny because it did sort of remind me of how Jessica Simpson used to dress back in the day with like the cowboy boots, the Daisy Dukes, the belt,
Totally.
So Miranda's got that outfit on. I mean, objectively, if I'm a stylist, if I'm putting on a stylist hat and I look at that, is it the most flattering ensemble?
No. But it's her costume. It's what she wants to wear.
So,
and she's comfortable in it. So
right.
If she's comfortable in it and she's giving you a good show, now if she's, passed out in a corner somewhere, I can see why people would be mad.
Right. I mean, she does have her own bar, right? That she carts along in back of her tour bus. But
Yep.
Or you know what? Maybe it's not IVF. Maybe it's a hormonal change, or maybe
she's
nothing.
just drinking and eating.
Yeah. Maybe she's just
vacation.
having fun with her hot husband who has a six pack. I mean, maybe that's really what it is. I don't know.
She's watching him work out, I guess. I don't know.
I'd watch him work out too.
I know, me too. I think she's put that on her Instagram before.
Yeah.
And she's made no bones about the fact that she enjoys the cocktails. So
yeah, live your life, girl. Live your life. In other pregnancy news, we'll make a jump over to Jersey Shore. So Mike, the Situation, and his wife, Lauren, are now expecting their second child. So they just made that announcement. But again, I wonder, Lauren doesn't look any different. She doesn't look like
she does not show.
But it makes me wonder if maybe she, being a woman now, in the public eye because of the show, I wonder if women are getting forced into sort of making these announcements earlier and earlier.
I know.
And that
well,
also
she's
bugs
doing
me.
January. So how far along would she be?
July, August, September, October, November, January. So she's 6 months away. So she probably just finished her
she
first.
Was in her first trimester. Yeah, she's
right?
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, congratulations to them. Good for them. The show this season, I've been really enjoying.
Really good.
It's been juicy.
It's the best season in a while.
In a long time. And it doesn't even have Ronnie and his stupid drama. Where is Ronnie?
Angelina provides enough.
Angelina with her divorce, and now Mike, the Situation. coming back into the fold as the old Mike battling the new Mike, I mean, there's a lot of shady Mike. The old Mike is back.
He's stirring it up, that's for sure.
And he's kind of conflicted, like now his wife's expecting their second child, and like he's got a lot of heavy stuff going on. Unfortunately, their dog Moses, the adorable golden retriever, passed away.
You know them. You used to be close to them,
okay.
right?
So I've never talked about this publicly. I've talked to you about it when we were doing the radio show, like during commercial breaks, because that was not the audience that wanted to hear this stuff.
They never knew.
They lived above us, not in the apartment above us, but they lived on the floor above us. We live in New Jersey at the Jersey Shore. We live in an apartment complex. And so I saw them all the time. Mike was always friendly to everyone. If people would see him in the hallway and kind of do like the double take, and he knew that they would, they recognized him, he smiled, he said hello to everyone. Very sweet. The day we moved in, my parents came over to help us, move in or whatever. We got in the elevator to go to dinner, and Mike and Lauren were in the elevator. And so my mom has never seen the show, but she has a cultural awareness, let's say, of the situation and Snooki, and and she could have a little conversation about it, enough to be dangerous. So she doesn't recognize him in the elevator, but I let my parents go on first, then Lewis and I walking back, and I see that Mike and Lauren are already in the elevator. Mike has sunglasses on, but he does a little nod that you would to just to be polite, people getting on the elevator. Lauren has no sunglasses on, but puts sunglasses on, and
she's a big star.
Turns her entire body away from us, and she's hiding underneath his arm. It was the most bizarre thing, and I was like, girl, no one's watching the show for you. What?
Nobody cares.
So then the other thing, so when I literally saw him get carted off to jail the morning that they drove him to prison. We were up doing early morning radio, and he had to leave at 6:30 in the morning or something. And so I saw the SUVs and the cameras and everything. And then when he got out of prison, I happened to be in the lobby when he came home, and the camera, I'm like, oh God, he's back. And so the cameras were everywhere, and a lot of the neighbors didn't like that.
I'm sure,
it's invasive, and they didn't ask anyone's permission, naturally. So they probably just were like, oh, well, whatever, we'll just film and do our thing. But the thing that really bugged me, and this is the last thing I'll say about the dog, because, you and I are animal lovers, but Moses, their dog, is a golden retriever. Such a sweet dog. I pet him once in the elevator. He's, like all Goldens, they're just so sweet. But what really used to bug the shit out of me is where I sat in my old apartment in the building that, they lived above us. I looked out, lovely view of the parking lot. And so I would see her go down the service elevator with Moses. She would walk right outside. She'd go about 10 feet. Moses would do his business, and she'd walk right back in. The dog was very overweight, and it used to really bug me. And I used to say to you,
because they wouldn't take it for walks, right?
Yeah. And I know I used to say this to you all the time, during commercial breaks. I'm like, walk your fucking dog. It just made me so annoyed that the dog never got any exercise.
Well, it's not good, especially with that breed. They need to get out, and they're in a tiny apartment all day long. That's so sad.
I mean, Moses was very overweight. And so, and I don't want to talk ill, because Moses, on the show, we just learned a couple weeks ago, Moses has cancer. Goldens are very...
And he just passed.
And he just passed, yeah. And so Goldens are very susceptible to cancer. Well, one of the other things that I saw, and my husband and I volunteer with our animal rescue group, and spaying and neutering is so important. And one of the things I just noticed on the show, I don't know if they were going to breed Moses, but Moses was never neutered. And your dog...
That has to be a Mike thing, right?
It has to be a dude thing, right? I know, it has to be.
So frustrating.
It's so frustrating to watch, because you know what? It takes years off your dog's life. Statistically, dogs are less prone to get multiple types of cancers if they are spayed and neutered. And especially for male dogs, it's really important. And so I know they loved their dog, and I'm not there. I've been through the dog loss grief. It's horrible. You've been through pets, with your little sweet cat buddy. It's a horrible thing to go through, but it just really infuriated me. And I hope if they get another dog, that someone gets to them and says, look, adopt, don't shop. You don't need to buy a purebred dog. I mean, unless you have such a specific, reason, a friend of mine is allergic to anything except certain types of water dogs. like the Obamas
That's kind of when my
were.
dad
I think,
ended up with the golden doodle,
right?
because
Some of the
I'm
doodles,
allergic to a lot of dogs,
yeah, and
which
so that
I hate.
happens, and that's that's fine. But
Although I ignore my allergies because I love them too much.
right, well, and most people do, right? So I mean that just really bugged me, and I hope that if they get another puppy on the show, that we're not looking at the same type of, no offense, situation.
I know.
But
Well, at least they have a bigger house now, and they have a yard.
and they still didn't walk the dog. They opened the back door and let Moses just walk to the deck and
Go out
back.
and do his business.
Like, walk your dog, please. It's a big dog.
It's a big dog. It needs to get out and have some fun.
But anyway, but it is a really good season. I know you're not fully caught up yet, so
I'm not fully caught up, but I am wondering what's going on with Angelina and the husband and it seems pretty intense. They're obviously still apart.
Yes.
And do you think
he's
that she and Vinny are...
That's the big tease, right? Is that will they? Now, I don't remember back in the day, but they did hook up, right? Vinny and Angelina.
Yeah, on the original Jersey Shore years ago, 10 years ago.
I mean, that
probably.
that would be interesting if that happens in this season. It definitely looks like they're kind of hinting that it might. And then the one other news in the casting of the show, Ronnie has been gone now for 2 seasons. Is it
2 seasons?
And
he doesn't seem like he's coming back.
I wonder if he's been posting about Jersey Shore on Instagram lately.
And he's been posting Pauly D's picture and Vinny's picture a lot on Instagram.
So maybe he is going to be coming back, but he's also unengaged. He was engaged to that Safa Bear or whatever her name was.
Safa Bear, whatever that is, Safari or I don't know.
Sapphire,
all I know is
I
that
think was her
dude needs
name
to
or
stay
something, right?
single. He needs to stay single. He cannot have a relationship. He gets angry and mean and he drinks and God knows what he's doing.
Which is why he was good TV.
He's a mess. Yeah.
But
which, I mean, it's totally entertaining,
I
of
know.
course. But I mean, I think it's in real life. He's got a kid now. That's really tough.
Yeah. So, and then I still follow his ex, the mother of his daughter, Jen Harley.
Oh, Jen.
But she seems
She's a
like
nightmare,
she's
too.
kind of normal and settled down with that guy. Like,
Really? So she's gotten it together, huh?
like, yeah, they were just in Italy, and like I don't know what he does, but I wonder. I'm like, okay, so the whole world except you and me are in Italy, like this entire summer.
A lot of people have been going to Italy. A lot.
Everyone,
A lot.
It's like too much. I can't.
Justin Timberlake was just there. I was reading about his trip. Who else? I mean, there's been a lot of people that have been going.
Ben and J-Lo have been like 3 times this summer.
I know.
It's like it's everywhere.
Just enough already. Okay, we know you're perfect. We know you got your cute relationship back, and now you want to be in Italy, in the city of you want to go to this country filled with romance. Come on,
I know.
Give us all a break.
I know. It's I know it's a lot, but yeah. But
No, I'm happy for them, but they're just too romantic and cute.
Oh, one last thing, and we'll tie this back to bronzer. The one thing that I J-Lo always has like the bronze, I watched her, I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Halftime. It's her documentary. It's on Netflix. It's fantastic. It's the lead up to her doing the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's cool.
And like,
yeah.
I didn't realize like there was a lot of drama behind the scenes. And like,
I heard she didn't want to dance. She didn't want to do it with Shakira.
Well, it wasn't that she didn't want to do it with Shakira. They both felt slighted that they were forced to be a double bill.
Be together, right?
That they were both huge stars who could have easily done their own show. I mean, like, think of it this way. To me, J-Lo is a much bigger star than The Weeknd. No one...
100%.
He didn't even have a single, like, guest star.
No.
And no one...
And that was a boring show,
it was
too,
boring.
by the way, I thought.
Yeah, it was boring. But the point, though, is like they didn't say, well, who else are you going to have with you? You know?
I know.
And so they
No,
forced,
it definitely it was a woman thing.
Yeah, and they forced, and it was in Miami. Like they didn't need. Oh, and then Gloria Estefan came forward and said, "Oh yeah, it was going to be worse. They wanted me to do it too." 3 women sharing the bill.
Right. See, I don't think J-Lo needs anybody. I do think Shakira would have, though. I know she's a big star
elsewhere,
but not in mainstream.
Yes,
and
in America, when she was on The Voice,
she's gonna be a big star in prison. I hear.
Oh no!
Poor thing. Did you hear about that?
No.
Tax evasion.
Oh,
or that's what they're accusing her of. Who knows if it's true? I don't know. We'll see. But
Mike,
I guess
the situation
she's in pretty big
can
trouble.
offer her some advice.
And I think it was in Mexico she's in trouble, which you don't want to do that. You don't want to, I don't know. Bad enough to be in trouble in America. We're learning you do not want to be in any kind of trouble outside of America.
Very true.
Bad time.
Very
Bad
true.
Stuff.
Yeah. Pay your taxes and don't bring a vape pen to Russia.
No, please do not.
Please don't. Because I don't, yeah, that's a bad situation.
Ooh.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so Jersey Shore this season, as we both catch up a little bit more, we'll kind of talk about that a little more because it's good drama. But
It's juicy.
I am wondering though if Ronnie is going to make a reappearance because it would be a perfect
It'd be
time.
interesting. I'd like to see them back together again.
Yeah.
I always loved the dynamic that he had with Snooki and some of the others. But,
Yeah.
I think what's more important, because he was legitimately suffering, I
Yes.
think, is that he gets himself right
Yeah,
first.
that's very true. Yep. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Beauty Pop. We'll have all of our products that we liked and don't like. Usually it's me not liking stuff, and Jen has great recommendations. That's how this is going to go. But we'll have everything posted on our Instagram page at Beauty Pop Pod. You can send us an email at beautypoppod@gmail.com, and we will take all of your questions and all that good stuff. And thank you again for listening, and make sure you follow Beauty Pop so you never miss a new episode. Episodes will drop weekly, and you're already listening, so I don't even need to tell you where to get it because you already got it. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.